you have a sweet tooth, then you'd better head straight to Sicily. The Sicilians know a thing or two about dolce, and while you've probably heard of cannoli, you've definitely never tasted one as delicious as those you'll have when you're in Sicily. And then there's granita, cassata, bianca mangiare. You get the idea. Do you dream of speaking Italian but feel stuck? I hear you. Whether you want to connect with your Italian heritage, a partner, or you want to live in Italy, finding the right tools to match your learning style is important. My friend Michelle from Intrepid Italian offers a practical approach to learning Italian with her unique 80-20 method, teaching you only what you need to know. As an adult learner herself with Italian heritage, she really knows how to bridge the gap between English and Italian. As Angela from Australia said, I put my inability to learn down to my senior stage of life, but with Intrepid Italian, it seems to just fit. To find out how Intrepid Italian can help you learn Italian and to claim an exclusive $20 coupon code that you can use on any of Michelle's online courses from beginner to intermediate, visit untolditaly.com/Italian or visit the link in the show notes. As a bonus, you'll also get a downloadable travel phrase guide absolutely free. So visit untolditaly.com/Italian to accelerate your Italian. Ciao, benvenuti, welcome friends. Now, people usually fall into two categories when it comes to food cravings, either the sweet or the salty. And I'm generally a salt fiend. Give me a wedge of cheese any day, but I can also be tempted by sweets if they are not too sweet and made with precision. I don't really like junky chocolate or lollies or candy or sweets for that reason, but a dense gelato would be more than okay with me. I'm very fussy about that, and that's why you'll only find the good stuff at the very best gelateria and pastry shops in our Untold Italy app. Now, we're working on Sicily at the moment, so that will be ready soon, but already there are 12 of the 20 regions ready for you right now, complete with those gelateria. And when you upgrade to the premium app version, you'll get travel guides for those regions, plus general travel tips and itinerary ideas, plus access to all of our podcast episodes ad-free and easy to search by topic. We keep adding more as part of the one-time fee, and you get first access to the latest podcast episodes too, as a thank you for all your support. You can download the Untold Italy app on the Apple App Store or on Google Play. And if you book in for one of our trip consultations or itinerary planning sessions, as a bonus, we'll upgrade you on the app for free because we want to make sure that our very special clients have access to the best gelato and all the most wonderful Italian things. Anyway, I'm wondering if you've ever tasted a proper Sicilian cannolo. I once thought I had, as we have a lot of great Sicilian-style bakeries here in Australia, but it wasn't until I went to Sicily and I had the real deal that I understood what all the fuss was about. And it turns out that Sicilians are obsessed with sweets, more than other Italians, in fact, which is saying something. When you're in Sicily, you'll notice sweet treats everywhere, and it's a very serious business. So I thought we should delve deeper into this and invite someone along on the podcast who knows a thing or two about cannoli. Joining us today is Henna, one of our wonderful hosts from Untold Italy Tours. Henna has been living in Italy and for most of that time in Sicily, where she's been part of a very famous cooking school. She's also attended the extremely prestigious food program at the University of Bra. But above all, she's obsessed with Italian food. So, andiamo, let's find out about that cannoli, shall we? Bentornata, Henna, welcome back to the Untold Italy podcast.
Thanks, Katie. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited because obviously you are an important member of our team and now you're also joining us from beautiful Sicily right now. Whereabouts exactly are you?
I am in Cefalù at the moment. I've had a foot in Cefalù since 2017 and it's August as we're recording, so it's the high summer months, it's warm, the beach is full, and it's really beautiful right now.
Amazing, amazing. So absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so jealous. But you were on the podcast last year with some of our friends, but some of our listeners may not know your voice. So can you let them know what a woman with such a lovely Massachusetts accent is doing in Sicily?
You called it, Katie. Not an Italian. So I am from Nantucket, a small island in Massachusetts. I have been living in Italy since 2014. I came over to do a master's program at the University of Gastronomic Sciences. That's up north in Piedmont. And it was founded by the founder of Slow Food about 20 years ago. So my master's program was in food culture and communication. Obviously, I'm someone who likes to eat and enjoy Italian food. I came over thinking I would do a 1-year program and maybe stay on another year, see how I liked things in Italy. And now it's been almost, I guess, 11 years, which is absurd, but very exciting. I currently work, as you said, as a tour leader for Untold Italy, which is definitely my favorite. And then I also have been at the Anna Toscalanza Cooking School here in Sicily since 2017. I work in general management for them. It's a beautiful place and introduced me to a lot of Sicilian food.
And you were there during COVID, weren't you? So you did get to learn a lot about life in Sicily.
I did. I feel very fortunate. It was a crazy time, but I did get to appreciate the natural beauty of Sicily in that moment. It was very quiet and just, an interesting moment. Not much going on, but that was a good reset. And luckily I came out of it healthy and happy. So that's okay.
I can't think there's many places I'd rather be than in Sicily during that moment because, you know, they do, of course, have all this beautiful, beautiful food that you've learned so much about. And so today we're going to talk about Sicilian sweet treats, which Sicilians, they love sweet things, don't they?
They do. They do. Italians in general, I mean, you'll learn quickly that the Italian breakfast, when you come over this way, we're not doing a typical American brunch or bacon and eggs. It's all about sweets. So they start their morning with cookies, with cakes, with croissants, with all of the good stuff. My mother-in-law, who's not Sicilian but Italian, she told me the other day that I need to eat more sugars because it's hot out. So clearly the taste for sugar also comes with the Italian heat in their culture. I don't know if this is scientifically true, but I'm up for it because I love any excuse for a sweet treat.
With the breakfast is so funny. My son loves an Italian breakfast. How many pieces of cake is too many? I don't know because I just stop looking when he's going for it on those hotel buffets. It's almost embarrassing, in fact.
It's addicting. It's definitely addicting. And I have completely converted. My favorite morning is either a donut or a cornetto, which is like a croissant and a nice either cold coffee or black Americano in the mornings.
It's so funny because all of our health advice at the moment here in, I guess, English-speaking countries is like, you've got to eat protein, you've got to get in that, I don't know how many 100 grams a day of protein. And the worst thing you can do is have the carbs and the sugar in the body. But the Italians have been, you know,
they're doing it. So they're doing something right.
And I think it's really interesting in Sicily as well because not only do they have the sweet of the sugar, but there's so many different influences that come into the cooking in Sicily and also the sweets. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Sicily's great because it's like a crossroads of many different cultures. And I'd say probably the most prominent influence would be the Arabic influence that has stayed over the years. So this means a lot of things like the pistachios, the almonds, you'll find cinnamons, particular spices, and a lot of their both sweet and savory dishes. And that all comes from the Arabic influence. And just refined sugar in general. That was something brought over with the Arab, settlements here. And so we probably have that influence to thank for all the sweet treats. Sicily is also interesting because there was a period of what they call the Monceau cuisine. These were French chefs that came over in the 17th to 19th century to cook for Sicilian nobility. And so they were bringing a lot of like French, what we would call French techniques of the time that have also influenced some of the cooking here in Sicily. And you can see that in desserts like bianco mangiare, which in French I think is like blanc manger. It's like a milk pudding. So you have diversity across the palette here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the amazing thing about Sicily in general, not just in the sweets or the food, but just all over the island. You have these influences, which makes it a pretty magical place and very different to the rest of Italy.
Yeah, you see it too, just in the architectural styles, in the landscapes. You have a lot of different styles and people who have moved in and out of the island, and it's its own continent in a way. There's a lot of different landscapes, places, people, and it's a real melting pot.
Did the Arabs bring specific ingredients or techniques, or what did they bring with them?
Yeah, ingredients definitely, like the pistachio cultivation, almonds, the use of spices. There's debate on the topic of granita, which is a Sicilian, I hate saying shaved ice or slushy, but sometimes that's what comes to mind when I try to translate it if you haven't had a granita. But there is a story that also the current day granita is based off the Arabic dish of sherbet, which was an ice flavored with lemon juice or citrus juice. So I think they did a great job in bringing some strong influences to the Sicilian cuisine.
You might not know the answer to this, but it just occurred to me, where did they get the ice from back in the day?
Well, the stories that I've heard is Mount Etna. So that's another thing, is that we have the sea over here on one hand, and we also have really high altitude up on Etna. So you had ice, and that was one of the first places where people took ice from the volcano and were able to store it like in underground cool places to have refrigerated things and icy dishes. So that's a theory, a working theory.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Was they didn't have electricity or, like refrigeration or anything like that. So they had to get it from somewhere. I heard the Romans would do that as well, send people up to the Apennines and grab some ice.
Makes sense.
All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper. Shall we talk about some of these sweets? Because, really, Sicily, I don't know, they kind of do it the best. I mean, that's a bone of contention, I guess, but I can't think of anywhere else in Italy where they might have one or two dishes that, you get bombolone down in the south, or you get a baba in Naples, but you have a vast array of sweets in Sicily, so it makes it really exciting. Yeah. Should we start with the classic, the original, the one that everyone loves?
The Sicilian cannolo, is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
It's funny, a lot of dishes and especially sweets, like when you think of what the iconic Italian dishes are, like the cannolo. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'd go to the North End in Boston, and that was what we think of as the Italian dish or the Italian sweet is a cannolo. And it is Sicilian and it is delicious. And if you haven't had one, it's a fried pastry shell stuffed with sweet ricotta and often has either pistachio crumbs or a slice of candied orange on either end. And they are absolutely delicious. I don't even know what else to say about them, Katie. What do you think's important? What should we share?
I think that the thing that I think people should know is that most of the time, if you've had them at home, you haven't had them properly.
I would agree. The thing I think with cannoli that's important is that you want to have it filled the minute you're eating it. So if you see them hanging out in a beautiful display in a bar or pastry shop, the ricotta filling will often have made the shell a little mushy. So if you really want to get the best cannolo, you need to look for a place where they fill them on the spot. So sometimes you'll see cannoli espresso, which means they're doing them right then. sometimes you just have to go in and ask. Like my favorite spot here in Cefalù, I would never have known that they have cannoli because they fill them in the back. They aren't on display. But you go in, you ask, and they put the ricotta filling in right then. And that makes sure that you have the shell that's nice and crunchy and crumbly. And then the filling is sweet and often cool because they keep it in the refrigerator. So that's the best bet.
Delicious. I mean, there's nothing worse than a soggy cannolo, really. But
No.
It's like a sad thing.
It is. I have to say, because I think a lot of people know about the cannoli, but they don't know about its cousin, which is the cartoccio. Have you ever heard of this? Have you had one?
No, I haven't. Tell me more.
So this is probably one of the most decadent Sicilian sweets. And you have to think, if you know the shape of a cannolo, it's the same shape. However, instead of a hard shell, it's sort of like a puffy donut wrap. So it's like a fried dough in a nice, what do you call that, cone shape? And then they stuff it with the same ricotta filling. And this is like a combination of a fried donut with sugar outside and then the sweet ricotta inside. And it's to die for. It's really one of my favorite things.
If we want to appease you, Henna, then we just buy you a plate of cartoccio.
You can. Yes, that will work.
Yeah. I think I have seen them. I think they might also be a little bit less messy to eat.
Yeah, they're softer. So when you take a bite, it's not like falling apart in your hand. They're softer and they will keep you full for the entire day. If you have one of those in the morning, watch out.
It's got everything. Well, because in fact, it's quite balanced when you think about it because it's got the carbs and the protein because the ricotta is very high in protein. So there you go. So it's
a complete meal.
A complete meal. If you put some fruit on it.
Yeah.
Let's just go a little bit deeper into this ricotta because, well, originally back in the day, they make them properly here now, and they use ricotta, but back in the day they would use like some sort of like pastry cream, and that's not traditional, is it?
No, you can now, like, you'll still find a lot of cannoli that are like filled with chocolate or filled with pastry cream or pistachio cream, but I think these are like modern inventions. They know that the traditional cannolo with ricotta has done well. And so now you can find alternatives that are stuffed with more, I don't know, I hesitate to say artificial, but more like, maybe more, I don't know what the word is, more
mustardy, creamy thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good, but it's not the traditional.
No, it is not the traditional. And if you want something with a custard cream or a pastry cream, there's lots of different options. So go for the classic.
If we want something with a more creamy base, what do we go for?
Most places in Italy, you can find the Italian version of a little beignet, which is sort of like a choux pastry stuffed with pastry cream or with like pistachio cream or chocolate, like a chocolate custard. So those are really good. They're usually like the tiny little size and they call them mignon pastries. Also, this is all from the French kind of tradition. The French have their croissant and the Italians have the moon-shaped version, which will either be called a cornetto if you're in the south of Italy or a brioche if you're in the north. So that's sort of it's a more modern pastry, but it's a go-to, and you can have that filled with yellow pastry cream or pistachio or Nutella or chocolate, and that's like a very, very classic breakfast pick, and I would always recommend that if you like the pastry cream, I'd say.
Delicious. And it's funny though, isn't it? Because brioche is not the brioche that we think of, is it? It's like, in that context, it's more, it's kind of weird. It's not really croissant. It's some different type of pastry.
It's something that also Italians get mixed up. So brioche, for example, here in Sicily, if you ask for a brioche, you're going to get the Sicilian brioche called tuppo. For me, it's the closest to like a challah bread, like a sweet bread it's a little round sweet bread with a little cap on the top, like a little hat. And this is the brioche in Sicily. So sometimes Up north, when you ask for a brioche, you'll get a croissant type of pastry. So if a northern Italian comes down to Sicily and asks for a brioche, the waiter often, knowing that they're from the north, from their accent, will specify, do you want this Sicilian brioche? Are you looking for sweetbread? Or do you want an Italian brioche? Are you looking for a more croissant type of thing? So it's a confusing language. Brioche, cornetto, there's a lot going on there.
The brioche, though, there's a special thing with breakfast, and I have to say this is like one favourite memory that I have from being in Sicily with my husband's family, who had an auntie. She sadly passed away now, but she lived in Messina, and the relatives wanted to give my children, 4 years old, a proper Sicilian breakfast. And so off we went, and we got the granita with the brioche, which really kept them going for a few hours. But let's have a chat about that, because that is something that's so Sicilian, and, you know, you've got to just go for it when you're there, because it is the best, literally, especially in summer.
It is. And it's not something that I would ever have imagined on my radar, dunking sweet bread into an icy, slushy type of thing. It's crazy. Sounds crazy, but it tastes wonderful. Sometimes if you're feeling super decadent, on your granita, you can get some whipped cream. And then you have your bread, your sweet bread, your brioche, and you have your icy granita, which you can get fruit flavored. So like lemon is a classic. Here in Sicily, like pistachio and almond are super good. I also love coffee. If you're starting off strong first thing in the morning, a coffee granita with whipped cream on top and then your brioche on the side, and you just dunk it all together. It's delicious. However, I have to say my favorite granita flavor that I have only really seen in Sicily is mulberry. So coming from New England, coming from the Northeast, I don't think I've ever seen a mulberry or really heard of mulberries before. And when I had a mulberry granita, that was my first introduction. I couldn't understand. It's called gelsi or gelso in Italian. And I just didn't know what it was until I saw at a fruit store, they were selling just buckets and buckets of gelsi, of mulberry. And it's almost like a blackberry, but it has a little bit more tang to it. And it's my absolute favorite granita flavor for sure.
Yeah, one time when we were there, we decided we're in Marzamemi actually. It was a hot day and we were by the sea, and we got the three flavors. I think we got almond, gelsi, and pistachio. And the gelsi is really fresh, isn't it? Like it gives you a zingy.
Yes, exactly. It has that zing, and it's great because the pistachio and the almond are like rich, very rich. So when you have like you can always get more than one flavor, or often two flavors in your granita. And so it has a nice combination when you do like fresh mulberry and like that really rich, nutty pistachio or almond. Wonderful combination.
Yeah, and the mulberry is like bright purple.
Yes. So don't wear your white outfit when you're eating it, because, I mean, if you're me, you're going to get it everywhere and it stains. It really stains.
How about these Sicilians? So they're always wearing white in summer, white linen, and I don't know, they always look chic, and I don't know how they do it. There's no gelsi granita on them, and it never looks crumpled.
I know, between the like tomato sauce, gelsi, like I couldn't do it. My strategy is to wear patterned clothes so that when it stains, you can't really tell that I've got huge stains all over it.
I love it. Oh, it's so true though. But, I mean, it's very juicy food. Like there's like a lot of liquids happening, and yeah, bright colours. It's all good. It's all good. Wow, we've covered the two big ones. What else do we have? There's so many other ones. Do you have any other favourites?
I think one of the iconic Sicilian sweets is cassata. I would call it like the queen of Sicilian cakes. Cassata is beautiful. If you've ever looked into a Sicilian pastry shop and seen this, it's a round cake covered often in a green almond paste on the sides and then decorated with candied fruits. So like slices of candied orange, candied cherries, green and red. And It just looks like something fit for royalty, and it is. It's beautiful. It's super sweet. Like most of the versions that you will find in pastry shops, at bars, it's like a little slice will send you reeling for the rest of the day. Have you had them before, Katie?
It's too much for me, to be honest. Yeah, you have to be a real sweet tooth. Yeah.
I have a real sweet tooth, and this is something I learned the hard way. I took like a whole cassata home with me one time, and my roommate and I had it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like 48 hours. And then we both said, okay, time to take a pause. It was great. I fulfilled many dreams eating almost an entire cassata in 48 hours, but I don't think I'd do it again. So for those who maybe haven't seen it, it's like a sponge cake base, and then you have your sweet ricotta layer. So that's the same sweet ricotta that you'd find in a cannolo. And then on the outside, you have a ring of almond paste that's often colored green with, traditionally they would have used some sort of greens to color it. Now we have modern day food coloring, so it looks like electric green often. And then on top, as I said, you have all of these candied fruits. And if you get a slice and you have like a whole candied orange or a whole candied cherry on it, just pure sugar in your mouth, like pure sugar. Absolutely delicious too.
When I was growing up in Australia, and if there are Australians listening, they'll understand this, we had this ice cream that was called cassata, and they made it similar to that and with candied fruits inside. So it was like the Australianised version of the Sicilian cassata, which was actually quite nice, actually. But yeah, I haven't seen it around very often. But yes, for me, it's only a small slice. I don't think I could go a whole cassata.
If you're looking for like a mini portion, so you have your cassata, and often if you're getting this in a bar, you'll get a slice of cassata, of the big cassata. But they also have something called cassatine, which is a little cassata. And it has the same shape, but it's mini size. So it's just like maybe the size of a small fist. And they make the whole cake in these tiny little molds. It looks exactly the same. You still have like the green almond paste and a little candied fruit on top, but it's a tiny version. And I think it's one of the cutest little pastries that you can find because it's like the mini version, just a couple bites. And I don't know, there's a lot of debate around if it has the same taste as a big cassata, because obviously the proportions of like the almond paste and the sweet ricotta are different than a big ricotta, but I think it's cute.
Good to know. Good to know. There's so many sweets we've got a whole list here. But one thing I think is very interesting in Italy, and it's why you have to keep going back, is because at certain times of the year they bring out the certain types of sweets and bakery items. And so Easter is a big one, isn't it?
Easter, yes. Easter is a big moment for sweets. You'll find a lot of cassata. Something that I saw in Sicily that I had not seen before. So Sicily has the tradition of frutta martorana, which are the almond paste treats that are shaped like little fruits. So there's molds, and they take an almond paste, a sweet almond paste, and they make it into the shape of like a pear or an apple or even bananas. You can find all different shapes, and they paint them so they look like real little fruits. These you'll find around Easter, but then in Sicily, you'll also find the same thing, but in the shape of a little lamb, which is just, can be absolutely adorable or can be actually frightening depending on how well it's painted and how well it's made. I'm happy to share photo evidence of some of the more scary almond paste lambs.
Do it. I think I've got some cute ones we can put next to them.
Yeah, we can showcase all of the styles of little lambs. But yeah, you have a little lamb made of almond paste, and then you're supposed to eat it. So I think it's easy to eat an almond paste fruit. You cut it up, you're like, oh, I'm enjoying fruit. But then when you get to your almond paste lamb, you're going to have to dismember it. I don't know if this is appropriate for a podcast, but it's like, where do I start? Do I cut off the legs first and eat them? It's terrible. It's terrible. They're so cute to look at, but eating it is hard.
100% agree. I was like, I think that's just for decoration, isn't it? But no, they do eat them. And some of these bakeries, some of these pasticceria have like huge ones as well. Like that's their window dressing, isn't it?
Yes, their window display. Exactly. I'm like, who's the family of 18 that's going to eat this entire almond paste? Because if you have tried any of the frutta martorana or the almond paste lambs, I mean, one bite it's pure sugar and almond. You aren't having a cake sized portion of this. It take weeks to get through just one of these little sweets.
Yeah, it's a lot. What about at Christmas time? Do they have any things that they like to eat at Christmas?
So Christmas has one of the sweets that I've never seen. I'd never seen anywhere. It's called pignolata, and it's so cute. I was trying to think this morning, Katie, if I have seen it really in pastry shops, and sometimes around Christmas you find a little version. It's sort of like a shortcut crust pastry that's deep fried. So they cut little nuggets of this. You have to imagine little balls that are kind of like jingle bell sized of short crust pastry, and then they deep fry them and make this little mound of tiny little fried, dough balls, and then glaze it with tons of honey. And the modern day version, you have colored sprinkles on top. So it's so cute. It also can stay out. So you'll have like this pile, and then slowly through the holidays, you're picking one after the other off this huge tray of fried sweet dough balls. It's heavy. It's cute, but it's something I've seen more in like homes. I have seen some versions in pastry shops, but it's more like I would see it more in families.
Is it a bit like the struffoli they have in Naples? Because that's more like they're puffy little dough balls.
Yeah, these are like hard, which is the thing that makes them interesting. It's like eating a fried cookie almost. Yes, fried honey covered cookie. I think, I mean, if you're listening, you're starting to hear Sicilians love fried things. So I'm thinking of like all of the classics. And if you're not deep frying it, you're probably not doing it right. Cannolo shell, the pignolata, sfince are another super typical Sicilian dessert that are deep fried. Have you had them before?
No, but tell me more.
You can find them year round, the sfince, or sometimes like pronounced sfinge, depending on where you are in Sicily. But they are traditional of San Giuseppe, which is the Italian Father's Day on March 19th. And sfince di San Giuseppe. In Sicily, you'll find that everyone prepares them a little bit differently. So it's always sort of like a choux pastry that's deep fried. So you get this puff ball that's empty inside. And in Palermo, for example, they often stuff it with the sweet ricotta. So again, deep fried sweet ricotta, amazing combination, can't go wrong. The sfince, where I've lived for a while in inland Sicily, there they do the same, choux pastry that's fried. Instead of filling them, they just drizzle honey on top, and then they put either pistachio crumbs or like a slice of candied orange on top. So they're a little bit lighter than the Palermo version. But I've also seen them just plain with powdered sugar. Yeah, it's in March is San Giuseppe, so something sweet and fried in the colder months is always nice, but now you can pretty much find them year round if you look.
They sound delicious. I love anything with pistachio, actually. I'm a big pistachio lover. And in fact, when I come back from Italy, if my family's not with me, I am basically got half a suitcase full of pistachio things.
Perfect.
We're a bit pistachio mad here. Now, they have one other type of dessert, which is more like a pudding. So should we round it off with that?
Yeah.
Something a little bit lighter?
So classic, since we're in August, you can find gello di melone. So this is like a watermelon pudding, and it's so good because If you are in Sicily, you will see just heaps and heaps of enormous watermelon everywhere you go, and you won't know what to do with them because one can only eat so much watermelon, although that's not true. I could eat watermelon forever. So they make a pudding, a watermelon pudding, and it's absolutely delicious. Super easy, very light, very sweet because we love sweet. And this is the summer version, the jello di melone, so watermelon jelly, let's say. In the winter, you can often find a jello di limone, so a lemon, like a lemon pudding or a lemon custard. You know, you can do more of a custard with like eggs if you want something heavier, but depending on the season, the pudding, you know, you use whatever fruit is in season. So yeah, I love a good jello di melone.
They're just really creative when you've got like extra stuff. You've got to make it into a sweet.
Yes. I was thinking actually when you asked about Christmas, because everything, you know, Sicily is abundant. We're lucky because we have a long growing season, but then there's, you know, the summer and the fall harvest, which is just everything's about preservation. And one of their sweets here in the summer, we have fig season, tons of figs, but you can only eat so many fresh figs. So often they'll dry the figs. And then for Christmas time, there's a sweet called bucciolati, which are cookies stuffed with like a dried fig. So they've used that fig they've preserved in the summer to make something that's delicious in the winter.
I feel about figs the way you feel about melons. They're so good. My mother-in-law has a fig tree. It's thriving in the Adelaide summers. It gives big, juicy figs. They're delicious. Fantastic. Now, Henna, we can't all be in Sicily like you. So how easy are these things to make?
Listen, I'm an eater. I'm not a cooker. Like I let the people who are good at what they're doing do their jobs well, especially pastries. Like I will go to a pastry shop over trying to make something at home. Although I have to say, I've had a lot of wonderful cannoli that have been made by others in their homes. If you're someone who's adventurous, who likes to deep fry, who has time, who wants to find the best ricotta around, you can definitely make it. I think things like the jello di melone or jello di limone, that sort of stuff is a little bit easier to translate once you're out of Sicily or out of Italy. You can definitely find whatever fruits in season and do a nice little, like a little jelly or a little pudding type thing. I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're easy to make at home, but if you do make them, I will happily try them for you. I can taste test.
Or you just have to go to Sicily and Anna can take you on a tour of her favourite pasticceria. Have you got any ones that you want to share with everyone?
My advice is always to look for pastry shops because now, like a lot of bars or cafes, they have pastries. If you find a place that's only doing pastries, they're probably good at what they do. Also, a lot of these sweet traditions, something we didn't talk about, came out of the convents. So nuns were often in charge of making a lot of the sweet treats. Sugar was precious. For example, in Palermo, there's still like the Santa Caterina convent where you can go and get one of the biggest and sweetest cannoli in Sicily. So you can look for places that are unusual like that, where to find sweets. I'll show you some great places, but I think you'll find a lot of really good places anywhere in Sicily.
So don't get sucked in by these TikToks or Instagram giant cannolis or whatever. Go to the neighbourhood pasticceria and the thing is over there is that they're very proud of their work and they're mainly serving locals for this stuff. So you're not going to last very long if you're doing a dodgy cannoli.
Exactly. That's true. That's very true.
But I think as well, what you said is go for the pasticceria over the bar. So I think maybe if people haven't got a lot of experience travelling in Italy, they may not know the difference actually, because a bar might be open all day, maybe into the evening, and they may do breakfast with the brioche or the cannoli if you're in Sicily, and they may go on until, maybe 8 o'clock at night serving drinks and snacks and things. So it's not their specialty.
Right. There are some great bars that have great pastries attached to them, but a lot of the times They won't be as fresh. They might be outsourcing, like they might have a pastry place doing their pastries. So, if you find a spot that does only pastries, it's a good sign.
Henna, this has been a bit of a treat, and I'm very hungry now, and I'm very jealous that you're probably going to now wander down the street for a freshly popped cannolo after we finish this recording.
I might get a cartoccio today, Katie. I might go crazy. Who knows?
Oh, why would you get two? Who knows? Just pretend that I'm eating one of them and then you won't feel guilty at all. Grazie, Henna. Thank you so much for sharing all your information on the podcast about Sicilian sweets. I know that when anyone's on tour with Henna, they are going to have a delicious sweet treat time, and she knows so much about Italian food and Italian wine, and it's just a delight to hear you talk about it. I always enjoy having chats with you. So thank you so much, grazie mille, for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Katie. It's always fun to be here. And yes, please come over. I will share sweet treats with you anytime. And I'm excited to continue my adventures here in Italy and share with everyone all of the yummy things we have.
Grazie, Henna. Thank you.
Grazie. Ciao, Katie.
Even if you're more tempted by salty flavours than sweet, I can assure you that you'll want to get stuck into the treats on offer in Sicily. One tip for you, if you're in a group, I can recommend ordering all the granita flavours at one go so you can try them all. I loved the gelsi or mulberry flavour and pistachio, but the kids loved chocolate and strawberry, and my husband liked the almond and coffee. So it worked out great for us. We'll be making sure all our guests have an in-depth Sicilian sweet experience in a few weeks' time when we head into sweet making heaven in the Val di Noto on our Eastern Sicily tour. And on next year's Sicily trip, our 12-day adventure across the island includes a sweet making workshop at one of the most celebrated bakeries on the island. You'll find all the details of those tours and the delicious sweets we discussed today on our website at untolditaly.com/289 for episode number 289. Grazie mille. Thank you to all our wonderful listeners for your ongoing support of Untold Italy. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, then it would be wonderful if you gave us a rating or review in your favourite podcast app. And a big shout out to Champagne Stefanova from Australia for their lovely review. It sounds like you might also be an Oasis fan like me, so I do appreciate your support. On next week's episode, we're going to discuss another sweet yet sour product from central Italy. It's one that's steeped in tradition and ritual, and it's an important part of the culture of the Emilia region. But until then, it's ciao for now.
The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are two of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.